The future of work, it feels like it's just accelerating like crazy, doesn't it? And with AI set to change pretty much every industry, there's this natural focus on the tech itself. But what if the real key, to navigating all this change isn't just the tools? What if it's more about a fundamental shift in how we actually lead? Today, we're doing a deep dive into exactly that. We're exploring insights from a really critical source called Leadership versus Management. Which one unlocks AI success?
Ah.
Our mission here is to really get clear on the difference between traditional management and genuine leadership, and to understand why these evolving worlds of agile and AI, they demand fewer of those old control behaviors, and frankly, a lot more practices that inspire, that adapt, that create psychological safety. It's really all about finding the right balance, isn't it? So AI implementations actually help people, complement human potential instead of getting in the way.
That's a really, really important point. Because one of the biggest misunderstandings floating around is this idea that Agile, for example, wants to get rid of managers altogether.
Yeah.
And that's just, well, it's not true. What it does call for, and pretty strongly, is for managers to really step up and use their leadership muscles. Shifting away from that rigid command and control thing that honestly can just slow things down, especially when things are dynamic. See, traditional management, it's great when you have structured, predictable project work. But navigating complex, evolving products and services, things that need constant adaptation, that's where the old ways can become a real roadblock.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. It makes me think of that classic line from Warren Bennis, managers do things right and leaders do the right thing. That's more than just a catchy phrase, right? It really points to two completely different ways of thinking.
Absolutely. Two different philosophies, really.
Yeah, about how you tackle problems, how you empower people, even how you define what success looks like.
Exactly. When we talk about management, the focus is really on efficiency, process, making things repeatable. Management is fundamentally about enforcing the rules, checking things off, verifying. It's checklists, making sure critical steps get followed based on what worked before for specific tasks. And that's fine. Actually, it's really effective for work with a clear start and a clear finish. It's like a traditional project, right? Building a bridge, rolling out some specific software. You know the outcome. You just need the best path there.
Right, so it's optimizing the known, making the established system run smoothly. And leadership is, well, something else entirely.
Leadership isn't about the known path so much. It's about vision. It's about having the courage to step into the unknown and being adaptable when things inevitably shift. It's defining the what and the why. Where are we going? What's the purpose? Rather than dictating every single how. It's about navigating that fuzziness, that ambiguity, and inspiring people to come along, even if the map isn't completely filled in yet.
And this isn't exactly a brand new idea, is it? It ties right back into those foundational theories, like McGregor's Theory X and Y, and maybe Ochi's Theory Z too. Those frameworks really help understand the assumptions behind different company cultures and how they line up with managing versus leading.
Oh, absolutely. And it's amazing how relevant they still are. So let's start with Theory X. That's your classic control-based view. It basically assumes employees, well, they don't like work, they're a bit lazy, and they need constant watching, rewards, maybe even punishment to get things done.
Right, the old carrot and stick approach.
Exactly. So a Theory X organization, it prioritizes tight control, standardization, making sure everyone complies. It aligns perfectly with traditional management focused on efficiency and avoiding risk through oversight. Now, look, control isn't always bad. Standardization, compliance, those are often necessary, eh?
Yeah.
Especially for safety. The challenge with Theory X is trying to get those necessary things done through leadership, through inspiration, without that rigid top-down control that just kills initiative. It's almost counterintuitive, maybe. When you face something complex like AI, gut reaction might be to tighten control.
Yeah, grab the reins tighter.
So with AI, that impulse, that's often the very thing that holds you back.
Okay, so Theory X is top-down control. What happens if we shift that basic assumption about people?
Well, then you get to Theory Y. This one's more autonomy-based. It assumes people are actually self-motivated, creative, capable of directing themselves if you create the right environment.
Ah, so it's about the conditions.
Precisely. It's kind of a middle ground, a big step from Theory X. Management might still provide direction, resources, sure. But there's way more reliance on real leadership skills, building trust, coaching, enabling people to grow and contribute. Less telling, more enabling them to figure things out.
And Theory Z goes even further down that path.
It does. Theory Z is more long-term focused, often linked to Japanese management ideas. It emphasizes deep trust, collaborative decisions, a shared purpose across the whole organization. This one leans really heavily into pure leadership. It highlights relationships, shared ownership, a strong culture holding it all together. And what's really interesting connecting this back, Agile and AI environments, they just thrive in Theory Y and Z settings.
Why is that?
Because those are the places where leaders build trust, where they actually empower teams to experiment, to own things, and where change isn't seen as a problem, but as like a constant welcome thing.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. Because that management versus leadership split becomes even more critical when you look at how work itself has changed. That big shift from project management, the waterfall way, to product and service management, which is where Agile really lives.
Exactly. Let's look at waterfall or project management first. That's the classic project world. It means define scope, set timeline, specific things to deliver, and importantly, a fixed budget. These things are finite, right? They have a start date and end date, mostly because there's a certain amount of money allocated for that time. Go over. That's usually a big problem.
Right, cost overruns are bad news in that world.
Absolutely. So this structured management is great for repeatable, predictable stuff. Creating systems, processes to make sure it's delivered correctly. Metrics, compliance, standardization, those are key. And change. In waterfall, change is kind of the enemy. It's an exception, something not planned, so it's not really valued.
But then you have products and services,
Yeah.
totally different.
Totally different ballgame. Products and services. They don't really have an end date like that. We build them for ongoing revenue, to evolve, to serve customers ideally for a long time.
Yeah.
Think of Netflix or any modern app. They're never truly done.
Always updating, always changing.
Exactly. The whole nature of work has shifted so much that those old management ways, well, they're outdated. Not because they failed back then, they worked for what they were designed for,
Yeah.
but the needs of the workforce, the kind of work we do now,
Yeah.
it's just different.
Yeah.
That's why moving from waterfall to agile can be tough, sometimes painful, but it's essential because command and control, it just doesn't work for work that's constantly evolving. It actually creates drag, bottlenecks, frustration, creates impedance.
And if you try to force those old structures onto this new kind of work, you just get diminishing returns, right?
Absolutely. You slow down innovation, for starters.
Yeah.
You just can't order people to be innovative. That doesn't make sense.
It's an oxymoron, yeah.
Right. And the bureaucracy that comes with it, it carshes initiative. It leads directly to employees checking out, becoming disengaged. You hear managers complain about disengaged teams all the time. But often, the management system itself creates that environment. It punishes trying new things, even while demanding innovation.
Wow, yeah. That's a real contradiction, isn't it?
It's a huge one. Imagine trying to define the finished product for an AI that learns daily. The whole idea of a fixed scope just falls apart. It fundamentally breaks traditional project thinking.
So, okay, bringing AI directly into this, what does all this mean for the age of AI? If AI is so good at the repeatable stuff, where does that leave us humans? What's our role now?
Well, it's a massive shift.
Yeah.
AI and automation, they're perfectly suited to, probably better, honestly, at taking over all those simple, control-based, repeatable tasks. They're brilliant at creating formulas, processes, systems to manage and run that kind of work reliably over and over at huge scale. AI can even manage its own deployment as a project potential. But this isn't just about AI taking over boring jobs. It's about freeing up human capacity to tackle stuff we couldn't even imagine solving before. That repeatable work. It's not the most critical stuff humanity needs to do anymore.
So the opportunity isn't just being freed up, it's about actually elevating what we do.
Precisely. It's huge.
Yeah.
The human work that's left, the work that will define our future, it's marked by more complexity, more ambiguity, and a need for rapid creative adaptation. And these are the areas where humans, with our unique ability for abstract thought, empathy, seeing the big picture, that's where we still excel and where current AI doesn't. So this creates this incredible chance to use AI for the routine stuff while we humans level up our ability to perform, think, create, adapt to constant change. Honestly, it could make our work way more interesting, less repetitive, more impactful, but leadership is absolutely required to make that happen.
Yeah.
You can't just order people to be creative or demand they adapt faster. You need to inspire them, show them the way, help them really get why certain outcomes matter, create an environment where they want to bring their best.
And a huge piece of that environment, especially with AI changing so fast, has to be psychological safety. Why is that suddenly so front and center now?
It's not just important, it's fundamental. People absolutely need the freedom, the safety to try things, to experiment, and yes, sometimes to fail. Because the reality is you just can't plan everything perfectly when AI is shifting the ground under your feet almost daily.
Like those image generators changing every week.
Exactly. You can't figure it all out up front.
Huh?
You have to adapt as it emerges, as new possibilities pop up. If your team is scared of failing or looking silly trying something new that doesn't pan out immediately, they'll just stick to the safe, known path, which is often the outdated path now. So the leader's real job here is aligning the team's effort with that bigger purpose, that meaning, worrying less about the exact how, because the options are exploding with AI, and more about making sure everyone's headed in the right direction, towards the goal.
Which raises that big question, how do you integrate humans and AI effectively?
Yeah, that's key. Leaders need to get good at balancing human creativity with what AI can do. Making sure AI supports human decisions, makes us smarter, doesn't just replace us. Our uniquely human strengths, creativity, empathy, critical thinking, ethics, those are vital for avoiding the dangers of just letting AI run wild. And we need that leadership capability not just at the top, but built at all levels. That's how you prevent misuse and make sure AI is deployed transparently and ethically.
Okay, this is all making sense conceptually, but
Right.
what should an organization, or even just one person listening, do with this? How do you move from understanding to actually doing something?
Right, the practical steps. Well, the very first thing is to take an honest look at your organization's current balance between leadership and management. Remember, it's not about ditching management entirely. We'll always need some of it for repeatable stuff. It's about finding the right balance for your context.
Between controlling and enabling, basically.
Exactly. Between dictating and supporting or nurturing. Every company is different. There's no single magic formula. You need to figure out where structured control genuinely helps deliver value. Keep that. Leverage it. But also be really honest, maybe even brutally honest, about where it's constraining things, where it's creating bottlenecks, creating work in progress. It just sits there. You have to be willing to get rid of those constraints.
Because holding on to them isn't really an option anymore?
It's becoming a liability.
Yeah.
So after that assessment, always start small. Think Kaizen, continuous small improvements. It lowers the risk massively as you make changes. You can't just flip a switch and tell a team that's never made big decisions, okay, you're empowered now.
Right, like the bicycle analogy you mentioned.
Exactly. You can't expect Olympic gold overnight from someone who's never ridden. You need steps. Give people chances to learn how to adapt, make decisions, innovate without constantly looking over their shoulder. And that leads right into empowering learning through mistakes. You have to give teams the psychological space to actually own their outcomes. And they will make mistakes. There will be messes to clean up, but you have to let them do the cleanup.
That sounds hard for a lot of managers.
Oh, it is. Especially if you're wired for waterfall thinking, where mistakes are failures. But learning to recover from your own mistakes is how you internalize avoiding them next time. It's like learning to roller skate. You learn by falling, and then you learn not to fall. A leader's focus should be on how fast the team recovers, not on demanding perfection.
So resist the urge to jump in and fix it for them.
Yes, it's incredibly hard, but crucial. True leaders let people develop their own solutions, their own course corrections. That's how teams keep their hands on the wheel, own what they build, and develop real capability. And another thing, build leadership capability everywhere, not just in the C-suite.
At all levels.
At all levels. The more leadership you've distributed through the company, the more resilient, adaptive, innovative the whole place becomes. It scales. It magnifies. It's really inspiring. When people see leadership happening everywhere, it encourages others to step up too. We also need to actively push for upward feedback. Create real learning loops.
Let's break down those silos.
Yeah, get rid of those glass ceilings that waterfall sometimes creates, where concerns or great ideas from the front lines never reach the top. We need that transparency. And finally, maybe think about doing leadership retrospectives.
Ooh, that sounds potentially uncomfortable.
It can be.
Yeah.
Because again, that waterfall wiring tells leaders they need all the answers, that uncertainty is weakness. But everyone makes mistakes. Growth comes from owning them, being genuinely open to feedback from the people you lead. It's critical for adapting your style to what different people actually need.
Like, do they need inspiration, recognition, or maybe just clearer guidance right now?
Exactly. That feedback helps leaders see their blind spots and adjust in real time. It's about continuous improvement for leaders too. So wrapping this all up, the main takeaway is really clear. Agile and AI transformations. They aren't about getting rid of management. They are absolutely, fundamentally about elevating leadership. That's non-negotiable now for any organization that wants to succeed long-term. And when you look at AI work specifically, there are kind of two flavors. There's the deployment and management of the AI tech itself. That can often be handled like a project. Honestly, AI might manage that itself someday.
Right, the repeatable part.
Exactly. But the really interesting part, the valuable part, the products and services we create using AI, that absolutely needs agile, business agility, and real leadership. If we try to force command and control onto that, our results will be rigid, constrained, and way more likely to fail because we create single points of failure and kill the very innovation AI enables. Success really hinges on being adaptable, on trust, on having a clear purpose, and all that. It comes from leadership, not just control.
That is such a powerful thought to end on. AI isn't just changing what we do, it's changing how we need to lead, how we structure human potential itself. So maybe the question for you listening is, what's your leadership balance right now in your work, in your organization? And maybe how can you start integrating a bit more trust, more adaptability, more inspiration into your own approach, even if it's just in small experimental ways? If you want to dive even deeper into all this and really explore those differences between leadership and management for this new era, definitely click the link in the description. It takes you to the source video, Leadership versus Management. Which one unlocks AI success? We really hope this deep dive gave you some powerful ideas, maybe some actionable insights you can take into your own work and your own leadership journey.